Welcome to the Stryker stretcher use and maintenance training video. The purpose of this video is to provide a step-by-step best practices technique which will help prevent and reduce injuries when operating the stretcher currently assigned to the HFD transport unit.
Best practice. It is best practice to install fully charged batteries into the Stryker stretcher at the start of each shift. The light located underneath the stretcher will indicate green or amber. Green means the battery is charged. Amber indicates the battery is low and should be replaced. A fully charged battery should last 18 to 20 full ups and downs. An amber light should last 5 to 6 ups and downs. Your charger will be stored at the station with your spare battery charging on it at all times. Removing the stretcher. When removing the Stryker stretcher from the back of the ambulance, first unhook it from the ambulance locking mechanism. Once the stretcher is free from the antlers, pull it towards you until it catches the safety hook and squeeze the handbrake on the lower right side of the stretcher. There is also a positive button that extends the legs of the stretcher. The button is located on the lift handle on the lower right side. The leg assembly will drop down away from the stretcher and make contact with the ground. As the stretcher exits the ambulance, a safety catch bar located on the bottom of the head end of the Stryker cot will catch the safety hook located on the floor of the back of the ambulance. The apparatus will be almost completely out of the ambulance. All you have to do is lift the red handle on the safety catch bar from the safety hook located on the floor of the ambulance. Once the stretcher is free, it can move freely away from the ambulance. Loading the stretcher with patient. First, always load the Stryker stretcher into the ambulance with 2 operators. The loading of the stretcher with a patient requires that the operators work in tandem to lift correctly and safely. When approaching the ambulance with the stretcher, operators should be on both sides of the cot. Once the stretcher's safety catch bar engages the safety hook located on the floor of the ambulance, the operator should spread their feet, have their shoulders parallel to the stretcher, and have their inside shoes pushed up against the others. They will lift the Stryker unit together, and then the operator on the right side will activate or push the negative button located on the right-hand side of the undercarriage on the lift handle of the stretcher. When the operators lift the stretcher, they must lift together using their legs and not their backs. Once the stretcher is level with the ambulance, the operator on the right-hand side is responsible for retracting the legs of the Stryker cot. The legs will electronically retract when the operator pushes the negative sign button located on the lower right side of the stretcher. After the legs retract, operators must walk together in a slow, forward motion, moving the cot into the ambulance. Once the cot is safely inside the ambulance, the stretcher can be locked into place, securing the stretcher and the patient. Unloading the stretcher with patient. After opening the rear doors of the ambulance, unhitch the Stryker stretcher from the antler system by pushing the red push bar forward. That will disengage the stretcher from the antlers. When removing the patient and stretcher from the ambulance, the operators must assist each other in order to remove the cot safely and efficiently. As both medics pull the cot out of the back of the ambulance, the first operator located on the right near the controls will press the down or positive button located on the lower right side. This will allow the legs of the stretcher to extend toward the ground. Once the wheels of the Stryker unit are securely on the ground, the safety catch bar will prevent the Stryker stretcher from being completely removed from the ambulance. The second operator will then have to lift the red safety handle located on the safety catch bar upwards to remove the catch bar from the safety hook. Once the catch is unlatched, the operator can easily remove the stretcher from the ambulance. The operators are both free to assist with the patient and cot. Stretcher maintenance. Procedure for requesting maintenance or replacing a broken stretcher during business hours. Number 1. Notify your ambulance supervisor. Number 2. Contact EMS Reserve Ambulance Barn at 832-395-8580. Once again, that's 832-395-8580. Number 3. The person in the barn will instruct the unit with recommendations on how to proceed. A. If the stretcher can be repaired by HFD personnel, the repairs may be made and the unit will go back into service. Or B. If the stretcher needs to be repaired by the Stryker service technician, the unit will be issued a loaner stretcher. Or C. The unit will be contacted by reserve barn personnel when the repairs have been completed. Procedure for replacing a broken stretcher after hours and weekends. Number 1. Notify your ambulance supervisor. Number 2. The supervisor should have a reserve stretcher in his or her station that will be assigned to replace the broken stretcher. Number 3. The unit must document what is broken or what item needs repaired. This must be left with the stretcher at the time the unit receives a loaner stretcher. 4. The supervisor will notify the reserve barn personnel during regular business hours. The supervisor will then contact the unit whose broken stretcher he or she has and instruct them to return the loaner stretcher to the station and pick up their broken stretcher and deliver it to the reserve ambulance barn. Number 5. Reserve barn personnel will repair the stretcher if possible so the unit can return to service or will issue a loaner stretcher. 6. The unit will be contacted by reserve barn personnel when the repairs have been completed.
We created this demonstration video for you to use as a learning tool. Using the techniques described in the video, your chance of injury will be greatly reduced. Remember that the proper reporting, repair, and maintenance are key to the safe operations of the stretchers. Thank you for your participation.